Krugs, what's going on?
What's up, Egg? We really need to get our own music, like our personal song every time we get on.
You know, my cousin has his own band. He's in like 4 or 5 different bands.
Really?
I should have him in one of them. One of the
Just
groups.
like what they should do is like meet us, talk to us, and kind of get an idea of our personality, and then put a song together about us.
I'd be afraid. What would they come up with?
Oof.
That's a great topic. What would it be like?
It'd probably be the most boring song ever. I'd be like, yeah, this is you guys.
Just like one drum.
Yeah.
Banging a drum for 10 seconds.
Sorry, I missed last week. I was out of town.
Yeah, where'd you go?
I was actually down in Florida for a tournament.
What part of Florida?
Jupiter, Florida. I was at the Marlins and Cardinals spring training. I've got a great story to tell you.
They share a complex?
Yeah, they actually share a complex. They use one main stadium, like a JetBlue Park, and the rest of it there's like 6 Marlins fields and 6 Cardinals fields.
Really?
Yeah, it's huge, obviously.
If I was like a major league ball player,
Yep.
does that play into consideration at all if you go and play for the Miami Marlins and then you also have spring training in Miami? Because I know like some teams have it in Arizona, some have it in Florida, but
I think it's easy because I think Jupiter is probably about an hour and a half from Miami. So, I mean, if you live down there, you can be essentially down, it's...
why if you're the Miami Marlins, why don't you just have spring training at your home ballpark?
That's a good question.
Like,
Same thing
not?
with Tampa. Tampa has it in Port Charlotte down the road.
Yeah, that's bizarre to me.
There's got to be some kind of economical reason. They're probably making money for the
Yeah.
town, and they're getting some kickbacks or something.
Yeah, it's got to be a reason like that. So, but yeah, what happened?
So game 2, right? We're getting ready for game 2, and this is kind of a tournament. A lot of the professional teams put together quote unquote scout teams because it's a lot of professional scouts down there. So we go out for the the exchange the lineups and go over the like ground rules and stuff, and we're playing the Brave Scouts team, and you know who's coaching them?
Mark Lemke?
Nope, Fred McGriff.
What?
Yeah. So I walk out there, I'm like, it's Fred McGriff.
So you're the head coach.
Yeah.
And he's the head coach.
Yep,
So
yep.
you're walking out the home plate before the game.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, it's Fred. I'm like, Matt. So I look at the umpire. I'm like, that's the crime dog. And it was pretty cool. But you know what the worst part was? I go back in the dugout, talk to some of the kids. I'm like, that was Fred McGriff. They're like, who?
Oh no.
Yeah, none of them knew who Fred. I told them. I said, go home when you're done. Go home and Google Fred McGriff.
Didn't he finish his career with 399 home runs?
493.
493. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
I told some of the guys I thought he was borderline Hall of Famer.
Right, but he's not in.
No, he's not in.
I used to watch as a little kid. Watch baseball games and just copy batting stances.
Yep.
And I was always a righty, but
Yep.
I would
that little thing you did at the end of his swing.
And it was always the same, which I thought was crazy. I always liked Fred McGriff.
He we were talking about this. He played for 19 years, and I didn't realize he played for that many years, but you really think about it. So he had 493 home runs. Think about how many times he flew out to the warning track or had a home run robbed or was just playing in New York in the middle of April and it was 45 degrees.
Yeah.
When you look back, at the time you don't think it, but then, kind of separates you if you're hitting, it's really only 7 home runs, but if you can say you were in the 500 club, that makes you like a complete different player.
I worked with a kid who played at Clark, and he finished his career 3 hits shy of the all-time hit.
But think about how many times he squared a ball up and it went right at someone.
Yeah, that's. Did you beat him?
No, they were good.
Did
But
you get a selfie with them or get a picture taken with them, like while you're exchanging lineup cards? Like,
I wanted to respect the game, so no. Looking back, I should have. But I will tell you, he did have wristbands on both arms. And,
no, he didn't.
Yep. And he had, and no one really noticed this, but he had batting gloves in his back pocket.
Did he really?
And he looks really good, and all I'm thinking is like, God, I hope he doesn't pinch hit himself in there because he can still
was he in
hit.
full uniform or did he have like?
Yeah, we wear
coaches?
full. Yeah, well, he had like one of those BP jackets
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, but it
Wow.
was it
No
was,
eye black or anything. though.
no. But it was pretty cool.
You think guys still get the itch? I mean, he's got to be what, in his 50s now?
We talked to him a little bit after the game, and he actually ended up going to dinner at the same place we went. And he basically, we kind of asked him, and he's like, yeah, I mean, you get the itch. He's like, look, if I had to go up there and hit, I could hit.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't run, though. Like, you know,
He
my
couldn't really run. with
No,
it.
and he's like, you know, my knees are shot, my back's, you know, not great. It's just the wear and tear of being a professional athlete.
Sure.
But I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool.
Hey,
but
that-
yeah, he gets. I mean, I think they always get the itch. They kind of stay around the game and.
Well, let's stay on that subject because I had one of my talking points tonight with you is the NBA season just started up
Yep.
the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but basketball for me does it. I just love basketball. I love the colors. I love the game.
I've actually enjoyed. I watched Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Well, I probably won't watch a ton tonight because the Patriots. But I've watched the first couple nights, opening nights, national games,
Yeah.
Celtics, all that. So
Yeah, there's a couple of good players switch some teams, but I wanted to ask you, kind of speaking about do you think he still has an itch to play? You got guys like KG out in Minnesota.
yep.
You got guys like Kobe Bryant
Yep.
in LA. Do you give them credit for goal? KG played 14 minutes last night.
Yeah.
I think he scored 7 points.
I think it was 4. I actually
4
looked it up.
points,
Yeah.
7 it was
Yeah.
4 and something, maybe not that much, but 14 minutes. Kobe, I think he scored 24 points.
Yep.
So he still produced a little bit. Do you give these guys credit for not letting go? Or do you look at them and shake your head and go, guys, give it up?
You know-
you had. Let me. Can I? And I know I'm asking you a question, but KG's role I understand.
Yeah.
They drafted a big guy. He's back home to Minnesota, full
Yep.
circle. I get it. He's a mentor. He's playing 15 minutes a night.
Yeah.
That's like just over 1/4 like of the game.
Yeah.
He's mentoring the young guys. I get that. Kobe, he's tearing his Achilles. He's tearing his rotator cuff. Him, I don't look at more as a mentor. Just I look at him. I'm like, Kobe, give it up, man. You got your rings. Go take a year or two off, and then go be an analyst.
And part of it is you look at the Lakers. The Lakers have already said, hey, look, this is his contract's up. We are done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last year they said this is Kobe's last year. And they kind of worded it like he's going to retire after this year, but the wording was this will be his last year as a Laker, meaning I don't know what Kobe's going to do, but this is it.
Really?
So the thing with Kobe is I think he can't get through his head that he's not a main.
He still
Yeah.
thinks he's a top 5 player.
Absolutely,
in the NBA.
absolutely.
And he's
like
not.
I'll give you a great example. I feel like if let's say they went out and traded for Kevin Durant, or for argument's sake, I think he'd have a problem with that because he still thinks he's the number one guy.
Yeah.
And guys like we're obviously KG knows that he's he is what he is now, and Pierce is not I think Pierce is a little more than a complimentary player, but he's certainly not the
He's
Paul
productive.
Pierce. Yeah, not the Paul Pierce top 10 player in the game like he was 7-8 years ago. I think I was actually, it's funny, I was thinking about this, is I got the new Sports Illustrated, and Kevin Garnett and Karl Anthony Towns are on the cover, and it's basically like one of those like mentor and student kind of thing. It was pretty good, and I looked it up, and I'm like, God, Kevin, this is his 21st year. And I think he ultimately sits there and he's like, what else am I going to do with myself?
The guy, see, here's the crazy thing, too. The guy has literally made more than $300 million in just
Playing
NBA
basketball.
contracts.
And he has contracts with Nike
Doesn't
and
include
all
endorsements.
Those,
That is insane. I'm sorry. As much as see, that's the thing. I sit here and I say, if I had $300 million,
yeah.
I'd be like, all right, guys, thanks. That was a blast. I'm going to go sit on the beach
Yep.
and just buy like a million houses. But when you're doing something for over 20 years, it has to be so hard to let go. It has to be.
I'd be curious to see how he feels physically.
Yeah.
Like, because you kind of felt like after, 2009, 2010, they were starting to limit his minutes. You wonder.
See, you just said 2009, 2010. That was 5 years ago. And he's still playing.
Yeah.
He signed a 2-year deal with the Wolves this offseason.
Yeah.
He probably will not see.
I think there's definitely times where you watch a guy and you're like, oh, please stop. I don't want to remember you like this. Like that kind of guy. I bet you a lot of, quite frankly, I think a lot of Peyton Manning fans are kind of going through this now. And I'm not a Peyton Manning hater. I've got no issue. But you watch him and you're like, come on, Peyton, what are we doing, But you wonder in your head if he's like, God, what am I doing,
Yeah. They, it's going back to the Celtics real quick.
And I'll tell you what, I don't know when, but it's going to happen with Brady at some point,
Going back to the Celtics real quick, out of those three guys, of the big three, you would have thought Ray Allen would be the one to keep playing.
Remember
until
they
his
used to do all these
mid-40s.
articles about how regimented he is, he ate so well, workouts, and he's been done for 2 years now, right? Yeah.
There was a little talk of him coming back halfway through to catch on with the team, and then he didn't, and then he sat out another
But
season.
the funny thing is he had offers, and he's like, nah, like the Spurs were interested, and he said, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of it's personal. Maybe he doesn't want to maybe he doesn't have the motivation to, get in that kind of shape. He's won 2 championships. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
He knows what he wants to do.
Yep, he knows what he wants to do. And
With him, Ray Allen, I really was a big Ray Allen fan when he was with the Celtics. But the more I watched him, the more I read about him and listened to him talk, I thought he was more into the personal records, the 3-point record. I feel like he was playing. He won. He got the championship, but I didn't feel like he was the.
You kind of after he got well, he didn't get traded. He signed with the Heat. You kind of like read some articles like it was the big 3, but it was more like the big 2 and Ray. Like he just wasn't as as tight as Pierce and Garnett were. At least that's the vibe I got.
So Chris Paul, who's in his 11th season, do you remember the Sports Center when Chris Paul was either coming out of the NBA or was playing good basketball at Wake Forest at the time?
Yep.
And his grandfather just died.
Yep.
And he scored 60-something points. Do you remember? I remember that feature on Sports Center for some reason.
His grandfather was like 61, and he scored 61 points, and then they took him out of the game. And
I remember it like it was yesterday. So when I saw a stat on Chris Paul, and then I looked up, how long he's been in the league, and he's it's a 5th season with the Clippers, and he spent 6 seasons with the Hornets.
We're getting old, man. I remember playing him, watching him in college.
Right. So, but he passed Bob Cousy on the all-time assists leaderboard or record.
Yep.
Last night, and I thought it was 15th all time.
Yeah.
But I want to say 5th. I feel like that's too high. It was either 5th or 15th. I know
that's a lot of
different.
assists in 11 years.
So I looked it up. Cousy played 14 seasons. Chris Paul did it in 11.
Yep.
Chris Paul's only 30 years old, too. Which leads me to Bob Cousy. Do you remember, or so you don't remember because we weren't born, but he played his entire career with the Celtics, retired, came back to the NBA when he was 41 years old. So he literally sat out 5-6 seasons.
Yep.
And he played like 19 games with the Cincinnati Royals, I think.
Yep.
I knew that, but I forgot it.
Yeah.
There's got to be a story behind that. I've never really looked into it.
It's like a bet.
Yeah.
You can't play in the NBA. Yes, I can.
I think that's crazy. Isn't that kind of, that'd be like, when did Jordan retire? Well, Jordan's been gone for a long time now, but
it's pretty similar. Although I bet you Jordan won. No. Yeah, I bet you it's probably about the same, 5 or 6 years he was out. Because he won his 1998 was his last year, and then he came back in like 2000.
Oh, really? Yeah,
right?
Because I remember senior year of high school.
Yeah,
I remember
with
printing
the Wizards.
out pictures of him in the Wizards jersey. I thought that was crazy. Also, Bobby Orr in hockey, he played for the Blackhawks for a little bit.
Yeah,
which is kind of weird.
But it's like, do you want to remember Michael Jordan as a Wizard?
No. Well, yeah, Jordan.
One of the things I'll never forget with Michael Jordan as a Wizard. And look, you're never gonna forget Michael Jordan as a
Are you gonna say his two-handed block?
yeah. One
Against
time
the
it was
backboard?
random. It was a random game, and it was like on ESPN or whatever. And he goes up for a dunk and gets stuffed by the rim.
You don't
And
wanna
you're
see
just
that.
like everyone's like, Michael,
Yeah.
let it go.
See, if that happened now, sports radio would kill it for me.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, why is he doing this? They'd be making fun of him.
Yeah.
Back then, I was in high school. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Michael Jordan's coming back to play in the
Yep.
NBA. He's going to play for the Wizards. They're going to win the championship. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But it's like Karl Malone
When he was with the Lakers.
played with the
yeah.
Lakers. I said Dominique Wilkins playing for the Celtics in his last year cracks me up.
Even you go really far back, like Willie Mays with the Mets.
Yeah, Willie Mays with the Mets. Paul Pierce, I can't believe. So he went from the Celtics to the Nets to the Wizards. Now he's with the Clippers. I don't know. That bothers me a little bit. I understand what he's doing, and he's got to play a role, and he's fitting into certain teams. But I want to see guys like Paul Pierce.
The weird thing with Pierce is he went, 14 years with the Celtics?
Yeah.
And now he's been on 4 teams in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
like
weird.
And it's like I think he helped the Nets.
Yeah.
He looked like he helped the Wizards. I think he's going to help the Clippers. But it's just like,
Yeah.
what are you looking to do? You would like him to say, all right, because he's from Los Angeles. You'd say, all right, this is my last stop. This is it. Which I think he kind of hinted at. But
Yeah, this has to be his last stop. I tell you what, the Western Conference in the NBA, for those people who do watch the NBA who are listening, the Western Conference is so superior better. I don't know the correct way to say that, but the teams are so much deeper and so much more talented,
yeah.
top to bottom, than
Yep.
the Eastern Conference. It's not even funny.
I read over the Sports Illustrated predictions, and I'm like, they had like the Spurs being like the 5 or 6 seed. Now, part of that is they kind of coast to the regular season. They have a plan, they stick to it, and but a 6 seed?
Yeah.
I mean, they just
Who did they put ahead of them? The Clippers?
so they had the 1 seed was the
the Warriors. I forgot about the
Warriors,
Warriors.
Clippers, Rockets.
Rockets are very good, very talented.
Who else was?
How
Warriors,
do they?
Clip-
Okay, so we're watching the Patriots Dolphins game. Amendola just was on the ground and someone kneed him in the head, and they called roughing a personal
block.
foul. Yeah,
yeah.
tripping or chop block. But the guy kneed him in the back of the head. How is that?
Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. So, and there was Thunder. They didn't have Kevin Durant last year. That's 4 right there.
It's going to be interesting what the Thunder do this year because, a lot of Miami. So I half jokingly said we should do play-by-play on this game
Yeah.
while we're watching it. But that Miami defense, I have a bad feeling that this Sue guy is going to do something stupid tonight.
Yeah.
And hurt Brady. I just have this really bad feeling. Can we completely change? Oh man, I just lost my train of thought. The referees in the NFL.
Yep. What is going on?
Can you explain to me though? You have a league, you have a sport that is bringing in billions and billions of dollars.
God, they're going to get a first down here.
They're bringing in billions and billions of dollars. How do you have a league? How do you not have full-time referees?
So when they were in lockout, that was like the number one thing. The NFL wants to make them full time, but the problem is like guys like Ed Hockley's like a lawyer, so they're like, all right, so if we're going to be full time, I've got to stop being a lawyer, so I need to make.
So see you later,
200,000.
Ed. You know,
It's a
that's
good point,
That's
yeah,
the way I
yeah.
look at it. Is we want to make you full time. If you won't commit to do this full time, because the way I look at it, I'm sorry, the NFL right now is its own worst enemy.
Yep.
But they're making hand over fist in dollars, billions of
nuts.
dollars. So that what's lacking right now is the play on the field is garbage. These guys coming out of college who are handed everything and treated like superstars before they've done anything as kids are coming into the NFL. They're getting challenged, and they're not standing up to the challenge, and they're not getting any better, and they're folding. You're looking at terrible coaching, just lazy
Yeah,
coaching, not
absolutely.
knowing the rule book.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at absolutely god-awful referees. But everyone's making so much money,
They don't care.
they don't care. So it's like such a weird. It's just.
Hey, did you hear what happened at the end of the Ravens-Cardinals game? No one talked about this either, by the way.
No.
Flacco, after the game, goes, yeah, that whole last drive. And if you watch the game, they were down to the 10, and he threw an interception in the end zone.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, we didn't have any communication that last drive. All
Really?
the headsets went out. Yep. And I'm like, Oh, here goes Gronk for a touchdown.
What just happened? That was like a 50-yard touchdown pass to Gronk. I tell you what, man.
Anyway, so the point is the same thing happened that happened in the Steelers-Patriots game in the last drive of the game, and no one even says anything about it. He's like, yeah, we didn't have any communication.
Hey, I know it's been 2 weeks since we last talked, and I haven't really been keeping track, but I don't watch ESPN. I don't watch SportsCenter.
Really?
First Take. I don't watch any of that crap. I watched NBA Countdown because I like Sage Steele.
Yep.
And I love Jalen Rose. I know
He
we
does a
talked
really
about this
good job,
before.
yeah.
Jalen Rose is terrific.
And you know who I like a lot is Mark Jackson.
You do?
I think Breen, Jackson, and Van Gundy do a fantastic job.
They might be
together.
the best.
National crew.
Yeah. I think so.
I'll tell you what, when the Celtics were in their heyday and they were on national TV all the time, I always, when you had the nights where you could watch the local or the national,
Yeah.
I always watched the national.
Really?
I just respect Tommy Heinsohn. I just think it's too much at times.
He can be a little overbearing. Mike Gorman
does a fantastic job, and God bless him because he's always been like the second guy, and he's never said anything.
Yeah. The Pats just they looked like they were gonna. They had a penalty. They got a long first down, and then they threw a 47. Brady connected to Gronk on a 47. That was like a 10-yard pass, though, and he ran the rest of the way.
And no one touched
tackled
him the rest of the way.
How does he get that open?
I don't know.
Well, this is what I'm talking about.
You would think that, all right, guys, first meeting, hey, we got to make sure we know where 87 is. Got to know where 87 is.
If there's anything else, just know where this man is.
And then they go off the field. They're like, what happened? Lost 87.
You got like number 32 on defense. Like, guys, sorry, my bad.
My bad.
That's on me. It's the craziest thing. The Patriots are the most talented team. They've got the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
The best tight end. Okay, fine. But I just think they're smarter than everybody. Everyone else is just so dumb.
I read an article about this. And I'd like to think that everyone in there is professional coaches, but I'm starting to buy into it more and more. I really bought into it after Pagano did the fake punt, I believe it was.
We haven't talked about that. I don't.
Bill Belichick is just in everyone's head. I feel like they look across the field. They're like, he's thinking of something crazy. We gotta make sure we got that fake punt. Bill's doing something crazy over there.
Yeah, they're on their own 35, and it's 4th and 11, and they got this crazy scheme that they're playing. It's like, no, you're just gonna punt the ball, man. Like
The fake punt. It's like somebody.
How classic is that?
But the best part is it's called the swinging gate. You try and fool them, right? And if they pick it up, you just go back and punt it. And then the best part is he snaps it and he holds it there for a second. Like, maybe no one noticed that.
Like, if I don't let go of it,
maybe no one noticed that I snapped it.
That was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep during that game, and I saw the highlight the next morning, and I go, "What in the?" Now you know what? That play, that was a total overreaction and just trying to outthink yourself on that because the Colts were in the game.
They were down 6.
They were down 6.
Yeah.
Everyone thought they were going to lose by 50, and you're in the game, and you run a play like that.
Yeah.
And but I tell you what, if that play didn't happen, because New England radio were talking about that play all week.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even talk about the game, but the Colts, like, they could have won that game. And if you don't have that play in that game, you're talking about how...
Well, you think about it. Let's just say they do it right, and the Patriots cover it, and they punt it, and we'll say that the Patriots start on their own 30.
Yeah.
They weren't moving the ball that well. Maybe you punt it and you score another touchdown, you got a chance to win.
Yeah.
But instead, you blow it, you give it to them on your own 25, and, I mean, that's It's like taking candy from a
Might
baby
as
at
well
that
just-
point.
Just
Yeah.
give them 7
And
points.
I want to say that I think they scored on the neck within the second play of the drive or something.
So what I love about that play is, first of all, you have apparently the punter,
Yep. Yeah. McAfee. Yeah.
whatever his name is. He's got like his own radio show in Indianapolis.
Yep.
So he goes on his show and tries to explain what happened and what went wrong.
Yeah.
And apparently, when they practiced that play, there was the guy who snaps the ball was hurt
Yep.
in the game, so it wasn't the normal guy. So that got, and obviously this has been beaten to death. But why would you call that play if you don't have the right personnel? Like it just boggles my mind. Like it's really weird.
I think it's funny that everyone thought it was so intricate, but really it's not. You just go out there, you try and fool them. The Patriots are ready, and then you just go back and punt it. It's like
Take a delay game.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Is if they had just waited another 3 seconds and not snap the ball, you take a delay game, you go back 5 yards. What's the big deal? You know.
Imagine the guy standing there and he snaps him the ball.
Well, did you hear the guy that was behind him said don't. He told the guy don't snap it, do not snap it, and then he snapped it.
That is just, I'm crying right now. Like it's 2 weeks ago and I'm still just.
You think
I can't
about
get
it. It's
over
how stupid it is, though.
It's the dumbest thing. Did you see the somebody online made it like the old Nintendo football?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god! Like, are you sure you want to pick this play?
Yeah.
Speaking about just this league, I just feel like we could sit here all night and make fun of the NFL, and it's easy to do because the Pats are just wiping everyone, just demolishing everyone. But Jerry Jones comes out this week and says Darren McFadden is our starting running back. You got the owner / GM / CEO / whatever.
Other than
other
Jason
time.
Garrett, basically he does everything else.
But can you just imagine Bob Kraft coming out on like a Tuesday on his radio show and saying,
making an announcement? Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we're gonna go with Dion Lewis. He's actually healthy. He's ready to go." Like you've got Tomlin in Pittsburgh coming out and saying, Roethlisberger's practicing. He should be ready to go. And then you got Roethlisberger coming out 2 days later going, I'm really hoping I can play, but it's not looking good. You would never, ever see that happen in New England. It's unbelievable, just like the non-communication, miscommunication that goes on with these teams.
It's comical.
Yeah, so you think the Pats are going to win tonight or what?
I do. The problem, the thing, the issue that I have, the concern I have is that it's on Thursday night. And I was telling a friend, I feel like Thursday night football is like street football.
Yeah.
Like, so you really think about it. Pretty sure neither of these teams practiced at all this week.
No, they didn't.
And Belichick, they said they did a walkthrough on Tuesday, and like someone was, full participant, and Belichick had a comment like, "Yeah, my grandmother could have been a full participant today. Like we didn't do anything." And Miami flew yesterday, so obviously they didn't practice. So I feel like it's like when we were kids, you and me like being in the huddle and being like, "All right, you go long, you do this." You're like, there's no game planning. So the concern is. What are you game planning for?
Yeah, this could be a sneaky game because the Pats.
You remember last year or 2 years ago when the Pats played the Jets? It was like the second Thursday night game of the year, and they won like 12-9.
Yes,
and it might have been the worst football game in the history of like football, and it's just one of those, Well,
why? Why do they have Thursday night games? Because I can't think of the last good Thursday night game.
Because unfortunately, people watch.
It was 20-something to 20-3 last week. The Seahawks and the 49ers.
And it could have well has been 40-3 because Kaepernick was awful.
But here's the other thing: like the Pats.
2 Thursdays ago, it was Matt Hasselbeck. Leading the.
The Pats are playing tonight, so I'm watching it.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest. I would be watching the NBA right now if it wasn't the Pats.
It would it'd be, hey, we'll flip around, and if there's something's on commercial or whatever. I'm not staying up till 11:30 to watch the end if the Patriots aren't playing.
Did you watch the Sunday morning game on the Yahoo app or on Yahoo?
I did for a couple minutes, and that was it. Just to kind of get an idea of what everyone was talking about, and.
So I watched it. It was very, I was fearful that you would have had to download the special app, or use it, enter your email and your firstborn's name and birth date, and But
it was
like,
fairly easy. It was click, click, and
you
it's
click
there.
a button, and so apparently they came out the next day or 2 days later,
Yeah.
and toted and bragged about the success that
Yeah.
they had, and claimed that 33 million people watched the game.
Yeah.
And apparently a couple of people looked into it a little bit further, and it was like they
Similar to our like 12 views, where it's really 3 people.
yeah. And then it also, I guess, where you went to certain pages on Yahoo.
Yep.
And it's like Facebook now, where you scroll by a video and it
Yeah.
just starts playing.
Yep.
So it started playing automatically.
Really? Yeah.
And then I guess apparently like the Super Bowl ratings are always inflated too.
Yep.
Because they look at either at the peak. They don't take like an average or a summary. It's like at the how many viewers, what are the most viewers watching
At that, yeah.
at one particular time.
And there's certain times, like there's reasons why these games start at certain times, because there's certain times where, like 10:30 our time is 7:30 in Los Angeles, so it's where, this time it's still only 5:30 out there, so their ratings, they'll take a rating that's closer to 7:30 there,
Sure.
because everyone's at home and whatever, so.
Yeah. But long story short, and I don't know the numbers. I wanted to look them up, so I'm not just speaking out of my ass. But I guess if you looked at the numbers realistically compared to like how you're supposed to do the ratings, it would have been below like the lowest watched game of all time. And Yahoo and the NFL were out there saying, no, this was the most watched.
Let me ask you though. So, everyone has Sundays in the fall as being, your football day, right?
Yeah.
And I guess if you live on the West Coast, it's different because you're used to a 1 p.m. game starting at 10 a.m. But are you ready to watch football at 9:30 in the morning?
Am I ready to? No.
Like, so you're used to the Pats playing at 1 or maybe 4, and if they play at 4, you're gonna watch one of the games at 1 o'clock, just to watch to do some. But I feel like part of me is like, I'm not like maybe it's because I'm a father now, and you just feel like you're not like ready to watch a football.
Again, I watched it on Sunday just because I had it on my iPad.
Yep.
Again, the Pats are playing tonight. They're not playing Sunday. I'm probably not.
You're going to flip through games, but you're not going to be like, hey, I got to watch this game.
Yeah. Now, I tell you what, I think the Broncos are playing the Packers in the Sunday night game.
Yes, and that might be
I'll tune into that.
Yep.
I think there's another game or two that I'm interested in, but I'm not. If I don't watch it, I don't watch it.
Yeah.
In all honesty, you don't do it anymore. But a lot of reasons, the main reason why I watch non-Pats game is for fantasy.
Yeah.
I want to see how my fantasy guys are going to do. So,
and a lot of people do it too because of fantasy and I don't think you're a better, but like gambling, Yeah. Oh my goodness, we got out of it. That was ugly.
This looks like street football right now.
Because I was talking to someone that had, they're a Patriots fan, so they never put money on the Patriots game, so they'll put money on a random game like Ravens, Cardinals, or whatever.
Yep.
So you got to watch it through the whole thing because the line's 8.5 and the Ravens are down 9 or down 8, and you're even though they're losing, you're still losing.
I couldn't.
I couldn't live like that. I told them that. I said I couldn't do that. Like even if it ruins it for me.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots, the first game against the Steelers, the line was 7.5. The Steelers literally score a touchdown with 2 seconds left. That means nothing.
Yeah.
But now they win. The Patriots win by 7.
Yeah.
And the Steelers cover.
Fantasy football. I'm in a couple leagues right now. Just small money, $50 here.
I think fantasy's different because it's over a long period.
Right.
Where betting, you're really living and dying on.
You have to do fantasy baseball. I can't believe you don't do fantasy baseball.
I know I should.
The reason why I check, people don't do it because you've got to check it every day to see. That's why I love it. Every morning I'll wake up.
Yep.
I'll look at last night's stats.
So let me ask you: do you win each day or do you go by week?
The baseball league I'm in, it's 9 or 10 categories.
Yep.
Runs, hits, home runs.
So
I switched from wins to quality starts this year, which is amazing. I've put
Well,
so
you
much
won't get
value.
you can't get points from a guy that went 5 innings and gave up 7 runs because they won 13-12.
Right, and then we had like what would happen. You're limited to a certain number of starts each season for your team, and what guys would do is when you reach that, they would pick up like long relievers. Or so then you get a win or two there, and it just didn't make sense. But you have like 9 or 10 different categories, and it's a point system.
Yep.
And it's like whoever has the most runs gets the most points. Whoever gets the most.
So what if a
home
guy is on an off day? Like they just don't play that day. Do you flip him out of the lineup?
So you have bench spots. You have
Yeah.
4 or 5 bench spots. So
Well,
somebody on the bench you could substitute in.
Yeah.
But it's all season.
Yeah.
So it's not like me versus you. Like with fantasy.
Oh, okay, I get it. So you're really facing
It's
everyone the
rotisserie.
whole year. Okay.
So head to head is what we do
Yeah.
for fantasy football.
Yep.
The fantasy league I'm in for baseball is. I believe
So
they call it
even if
rotisserie.
so and so has a day off, it really works out for everyone because everyone's playing 162 games.
Correct. Most people. I mean, what are off days in baseball? Mondays and Thursdays.
Yeah, I mean you're
So-
going to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, no matter what.
It all
So-
evens out. The only thing you have to, and there's no limit on how many. The only limit you have is how many games you can start as a pitcher. I think
Yeah.
it's 199 or 200 or something like
Yeah.
that. But we had a guy run away with it, who won the league by like 20 points. I won it one year.
Really?
Which was the highlight of my fantasy. I won like $400, which is pretty cool. So,
And you spent it all?
but you should do it, man. Especially you, because you love baseball so much, and you can build your own team.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you want to build a good team, but you have to remember that it's for fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's like, you may end up with A-Rod on your team, or
Yeah.
you may end up with Jacoby. Or,
Yeah, someone you don't really like, a Yankee or...
You've been watching the World Series and the playoffs. Wow, we're how long are we into this? 35 minutes. This is the first baseball talk. Fox decided to bring in Alex Rodriguez for their pre- and post-game analysis on Fox Sports 1.
Yep.
And that's fine, except they already have Pete Rose there.
Yep.
All right, so at first I go, you know what? I was watching him, and I go, this is kind of entertaining. I go, Pete Rose, whatever. He's a
A little bit of a whack job,
Yeah,
old school.
He's a numbnut.
Yeah.
You have A-Rod, though, and A-Rod's giving his analysis, and I go, you know what? He's not that bad. But
you know what the thing about it, just the thing about A-Rod is, you always thought he was full of crap, but he was always a pretty good speaker.
he's so I'm listening to him, and he stops and he goes and he tells a story about Jose Bautista.
Yep.
And he stops and he goes, you know what? He goes, I have a story about Jose Bautista. And he goes back in spring training 3 years ago.
Jose is probably like, oh,
After a
God.
game. Right? So
Yeah.
he tells this story, and it wasn't even really a good story, but
Yeah.
it was just like Jose wanted to win and blah, blah, blah. But I go, I don't believe him.
Yeah.
I don't believe him.
Yeah.
He's lied his entire career
Mhm.
about taking performance-enhancing drugs. He's lied to the media. He's lied to the fans. If I'm watching a pregame show and I'm going to hear a story from a player,
Yep.
I don't believe anything he says.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think he's any good. And I think I tried explaining that to Greg through text messaging, but I just feel like he's full of crap.
You would think that they'd just find someone different, like someone that. Well, I guess they had AJ Brzezinski, and he's not really likable, but just someone like most people would kind of like, as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most people see him on there like, A-Rod? Why do you have A-Rod on there?
They've got like Raul Ibanez, who for all intents and he seems like a pretty decent guy.
Yeah.
And you have Frank Thomas, the big
Yep.
cuddly teddy bear. But I thought it was interesting, the pairing. A-Rod, he is who he is, but does he come back for another year? He has a couple years left on his deal,
I think so.
Has he said anything? Is he just going to play until he can't
I think
play anymore?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you retire, you've got to give some of that money back, no?
I think if you retire, then your contract you expire. Like you're done. You're giving it up.
Yeah. I just can't see him not playing. I will say I don't follow him on Twitter, but I saw some pictures of him, hanging out at the World Series, and there's a lot of ex-major leaguers, major leaguers, and he's like, chumming it up with everyone and pictures with George Brett, and I feel like he's kind of like welcome back. Like if I'm an ex-major leaguer, I'd be like, who like I don't like you, you know.
Well, the thing that bothers me too is like they have him on the pregame show, and on the bottom underneath his name,
Yeah.
they'll Alex Rodriguez 6th in all-time
Home runs, yeah.
And I'm like, why are we? So we've just decided that we're going to completely ignore the fact that he took performance-enhancing drugs, and those helped him get home runs.
Yeah.
So why are you going to talk about him being 6th on the all-time list?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep,
that
I
doesn't
hear
make
you.
sense to me.
It's just it's a weird pre and post game crew. I think Frank Thomas does a great job.
He's still a big guy. I tried explaining that to Lee.
Yeah.
Because Lee was watching it, and she said he's a big guy, and I go, he's always, even because he went to Auburn, I believe.
Yeah,
Played
it's
football.
funny. One of our instructors at our facility played at Georgia Tech and was there, maybe not the same exact, but about the same time Frank was at Auburn, and they, Atlanta and Auburn are pretty close, and he's been that big since college. Like that's like because people naturally see how big he is, and they think he's a juicer. He's like, I don't know if he's doing anything, but he's been that big since
Unless he started juicing when he was.
It was
12.
like 12. Yeah, he's been that big since 18,
He probably
19,
wouldn't
20.
be alive still, but. Big Hurt was all. Now he's a guy who most of his career was at the White Sox.
Yep.
Then what he finished with Oakland and Toronto.
Yep.
Or
He actually had some good years with Oakland and Toronto.
Did he really?
Yeah, as DH. Yeah.
Piazza, I think, finished with or he went to San Diego.
Yep.
I know it drives me nuts. The one thing I'm happy about with Paul Pierce, and going back to the Pierce thing, he's kept the number 34.
Yep.
I drives me nuts when guys like if you see Pierce on the Bulls and he's wearing like
21.
yeah, it's like, oh man, you gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta hang it up. But
yeah, we're not giving you your number. You're like, yep, I don't have the same clout I used to have.
Bruce Bowen gave. I think they retired Bruce Bowen's number
Really?
for the Spurs.
Did they
Or
really?
They had him. I remember something
It
happened.
wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe it wasn't Bruce Bowen, but Bruce Bowen wore number 12.
Yeah.
But the LaMarcus Aldridge
Yep.
took it, and
I think you get to a certain point with a lot of these teams, you're running out of numbers.
you're gonna run
Yeah.
out of like the Yankees.
Yeah, they're running out of numbers. They can't retire them anymore.
Yeah, they're gonna retire. Jeter's 2, Torrey's 6. I think if they haven't retired his number already.
If they haven't, they're going to. I'd heard that they were,
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, they have to.
Go back on the baseball thing real quick. Ruben Amaro, so former general manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. He spent 6-7 seasons in Philly?
Yep.
So wheeling and dealing. He's the Theo, the Ben Sherrington of the Phillies.
Won a World Series.
Won a World Series. Former player.
Yep.
Heard rumblings that at some point he told someone he wanted to get into coaching.
Yep.
But he was named the first base coach for the Boston Red Sox this week. I was getting excited for the offseason. Let's go Sox. Let's make some moves. And then they always go and just do stupid things like this that make no sense.
I tell you, for me, and I talked to someone about it this weekend. When we're down in Florida, there's all these scouts there. There had to be 200, 300 professional scouts there from all over the country. It signals a change in baseball to me. Like I told people, I told someone, I said, you look at some of these scouts, if I threw them a baseball, they probably wouldn't be able to catch it. But that's not the game anymore because they're there, for the analytics and all that kind of stuff. That's just not how it is anymore. And I think that signals what you're seeing. You're starting to get some of like a Dan Jennings, he was the Marlins GM. They made him the manager. They fired him. And they fired him as a manager. They told him he's not going to come back as a GM. And now he's rumored to be the next Phillies GM.
Really?
I read that today. Yeah. There's a chance they're going to interview him. But the point is it's a change of the game. It's a lot about analytics, which.
So, but how does naming a former GM your first base coach, how does that help your team win?
Because the first base coach. And third base coach, too. They have a lot more to do than just stand at first and third base.
Okay, so Amaro's going to work with the outfielders,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah. And he'll do a lot of them do some of the, statistical stuff in regards to, hey, this guy's up. We want to do this kind of shift on him. They kind of do that. And it kind of goes back to numbers.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird because, even as a manager, it's coming in where you're no longer going with your gut. You're no longer going with your gut. It's just what do the numbers say?
Yeah. It's going to be funny seeing him in a baseball uniform. I know
Yeah.
he used to play, but going from a suit and tie to having to wear a jersey each day. I hope he doesn't wear like 99 or something.
Back in it, guys.
Rumor has it already, and I don't know how these rumors start, but apparently if Alex Gordon opts out of his $13 million option, that the Sox are going to pursue him.
I didn't hear that. Really?
Yeah, I read that on.
Makes sense if they're not going to put Hanley in left, but they've got their young guys.
But that to me, I'm going no. Like I said, I'm so excited for the Sox offseason, and
Would they put him in left field?
but that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
they don't need Alex Gordon.
Yeah.
You don't need him. Just go and sign 20 pitchers.
Doesn't it sound like Pablo Sandoval last year, a World Series hero, you know?
Just go and put guys on the mound who can pitch. That's all I want. Like I don't want another outfielder. I don't want you
Gordon's
to sign-
going to get $100 million.
No, I don't know. He's 32.
I mean,
They're saying
he's going to get 70.
They're saying 3 years, 36, 30, 40 million.
Really?
Yeah. They're saying if you go more than 3 years with him.
Oh, I don't because people forget he came up as a third baseman.
Well, see, I'm so fearful that they're going to do something stupid. They're going to sign Alex Gordon
Yeah.
and put him back at third.
base.
No.
He had to
Stop
go back.
trying so hard.
He had to go back down to the minors because he was so bad at third, and just everything. And then they brought him back up
Put him
as
in
a
the
left field.
outfield.
Yeah,
And he became a pretty good outfielder. Did he win a Gold Glove? I feel like he did.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just have I'm so nervous now about the Sox and what they're gonna do. They're gonna go give Johnny Cueto $200 million, and I'm gonna freak out. He pitched a complete game 2-hitter.
Yeah.
The guy does funky stuff with his delivery because his arm hurts. He doesn't. It bothers him. It does not feel good. That is why he spins around on the mound and quick pitches.
Yeah.
He quick pitches. That's unbelievable to me. I would get so upset if I was the batter.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man? Pitch normal. Why are you trying to trick me?
Mano, let's go. Come on.
I saw his at bat matchup with Cespedes last night, and Cespedes got jammed, had to barely fouled a ball off, got jammed because Cueto didn't even step back. He just threw it. But anyways, they're gonna do something so stupid. I can feel it, and I'm so upset because they just need pitching. They just need pitching.
They got to. I mean, so if you want pitching, which everyone wants and needs, who are your target guys? So Cueto's not a guy. I agree. Price, you're down on, which you can't necessarily disagree with that because, I mean, he really struggled this postseason. Who's your guy, or do you do it via trade?
Oh boy, here's the one thing I don't like.
And I don't know the correct answer for that.
I don't like giving pitchers $150 million. You know who my guy was? John Lester.
I could not agree with you more.
They should have signed John Lester. David Price, if you can get him for $5 and $100,
Yeah.
which
you
you're not
can't.
going to be able to.
Yeah.
Fine. Cueto, no.
I'll tell you what.
Greinke is my guy, and I know people are afraid of him because they think he's a mental midget. Zach Greinke is my guy.
I don't know.
I would give him 5-6 years.
I'm not as worried about the mental side anymore. I don't know why. I just feel like, I feel like that was an issue.
He's older now.
Yeah, he's older. That was an issue. And not that LA is the hotbed of, sports at times, but
It's the exact opposite of Boston.
Yeah, it's true. It's a great spot for him. I just it doesn't concern me as much.
Yeah.
If it crops up, it's going to be a big problem in Boston, though.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll throw a couple names out there. Chris Sale.
Okay.
Put a package together for Chris Sale. Let me throw out. Okay, so let's.
But
say,
this is the point, and I once heard a GM say this. They're like, you stock your farm system for obviously the future, but so you can make trades. So if you're going to stock your farm system, let's use some of these guys because, quite frankly, other than the top 4 or 5, a lot of them have come up and haven't been that good. So get rid of them before you expose them.
And Dombrowski has a past of trading prospects away for
Yep.
big names, for the Miguel Cabreras,
Yeah.
for the David Prices. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. Johnny Cueto, you go and sign him to 4 years and $90 million.
Yep.
Okay, but you trade for Chris Sale.
Yep.
Okay, fine.
Oh my goodness.
I can live with that. That's perfect. What happened there? Bad snap?
He just wasn't looking when they snapped it.
I hate when that happens. You got it. For those of you who play football, and if you're a quarterback, you have to pay attention
When they're gonna snap
when
it.
the ball's coming at you. Oh, that's classic.
Oh my goodness.
That is classic. Oh baby, I almost started him in fantasy. Oh goodness, I hope I put him on my bench, but 9-0 Pats. Yikes. But if you go and you sign a Johnny Cueto and then you bring in, a David Price, not David Price, a Chris Sale.
Yep.
I can live with that. But I would package Jackie Bradley. I would package Henry Owens. I would package Vasquez or Swihart to go and get Chris Sale. He's that good.
Oh, I agree. Look, this offseason, anyone other than Betts and Bogarts, they're on the table for
I like
me.
Betts.
I heard everyone in this spring training kept saying Andrew McCutchen. I'm like, whoa, let's slow down a little bit. Because first of all, I hate the comparison stuff. He's only been playing for 6 months, and McCutcheon's been doing it for 6 or 7 years. And quite frankly, April and May, he was average at best.
Who, McCutcheon?
No.
Oh, Betts.
Betts.
Yes.
But he's only 22, and I think you saw signs at the end of the year of being a really special player. And quite frankly, I have a ton of respect for Bogarts because he could have easily just mailed it in after last year.
Yeah.
But he worked his ass off, made himself. He's a Gold Glove finalist I saw online. Hit 330. Yeah, he didn't hit for any power, but he still drove in 85, 90 runs.
You get him on a team, though. Like, you surround some boppers with him, and he's okay.
The problem was that they had to hit him 3 this year.
Yeah.
Because Pedroia was hurt. Ortiz is a 4 guy. He's not going to hit for any average anymore.
At what point do you mail it in with Pedroia? At what point do you say, thank you very much, Dustin, but you're playing 80 games a year? We've got to move on.
Do you ever sit there and wonder, do you ever talk with them and sit down and be like, hey, we need to figure this out because
maybe you should stop
off season, what you're doing during the season. You don't want to tell a guy to stop doing certain things, hustle things, but stuff like that.
Well, see, that's the thing is I don't think he does, he's not like you knew Euclid was going to break down.
Yeah.
Because he was a big guy that threw himself on the ground. He also smoked and drank and did all that shit. But Pedroia plays – he's a good second baseman. He plays hard. But he
still hits at 300.
Yeah.
The problem is you're paying him $100 million. And it's actually, if you look at the actual numbers, it's not a bad deal. It's just really long. He's only going to hit you 10 to 12. The problem is when they won the World Series, they were doing it right. He's a 2-hitter. He's not a 3-hitter. He's not a leadoff guy. He's a 2-hitter.
He's a former MVP.
Yeah.
That's
2008
crazy.
MVP, 2007 Rookie of the Year, 2008 MVP. And when you really look at the Red Sox payroll and they sit there and they look at their highest paid guy and then they go down, honestly, if I'm the Red Sox and I'm looking at it as, Dustin Pedroia, where we sit right now, he's on the low list of concerns, in regards to he's going to be ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Like Hanley, Pablo, you don't know if they're going to just show up. Pedroia is going to show up every day.
Can we just agree that Hanley Ramirez at first base is going to be an absolute disaster?
They had to show him what leg to point forward and it's like, what are you doing?
Can we just agree right now that is going to be an absolute disaster?
When we're playing, and these are with high school kids, I sit there and they put a kid at first base that hasn't played them. I'm like, dude, just catch the ball. Just catch the baseball. That's all you got to do. Just catch the ball.
Yeah.
And, for the most part, they can figure it out. And you're talking about professionals who are going to probably hit you in the chest right there. Yeah.
But that's the thing is the majority of the time is they will throw it chest high.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a good amount of throws that are going to be low at your knees.
Oh, it's going to be a disaster.
Not
even the ones in the dirt, but the ones where you're you got to catch it here,
Yeah. I think earlier this season somebody asked Hanley if he wanted to play first or if he could play first, and he pretty much said no because you have to bend over. I don't like to play shortstop anymore or third base because the outfield's better because I don't have to bend over.
Yeah.
And when you got a guy who you're paying $20 million a year saying like I don't like to bend over, it's like
oh boy, yeah.
Like it's Pats aren't having any luck running the ball right now. I don't know why they're not throwing it every down. It seems like they keep stuffing Legarrette Blunt, but I don't know anything about football. So let's finish on football because I wrote this down. I wanted to get your take. Brady was quoted. He was quoted this last year, and then he was quoted.
That was a disaster.
He was quoted again this year.
Yeah.
Saying he'd like to play for another 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that would take us to the year 2025. It would take us to 40.
Yep.
So Brady would have been our quarterback, and I say our quarterback. He would have been the Patriots quarterback for our entire at the end of our teens.
2001 was the first Super Bowl, so that's what we
were 16, 17.
Junior year, 16, 17, yeah.
All of our 20s, and then all of our 30s.
Yep.
All right, so I think we both can agree that he's probably not going to play for another 10 years.
Correct.
But let's pretend he could. How many records would he set?
He would put records that are like unbeatable.
Yeah, so he just got 400 touchdown passes, so he would finish with what?
I think Manning's at like 518 right now.
So he would blow 500 out of the water. Get to 600, maybe 700.
How productive is he though?
Yeah, so that's the thing. How I know he's into like his concussion proof water, and he's got his little. We haven't touched on that.
You know what? I listened to the I think it was the Dennis and Callahan interview with him that he does weekly, and they challenged him a little bit on some of these things. But the one thing that made me think that he brought up was he said, we do all these things when we're sick, when we get hurt. Why
reactive?
Yeah, why not do it before that happens? And I was sitting there, and I'm thinking, that's a good point. What am I doing to make sure I don't get sick? Or, I mean, I think if you break a leg, you break a leg. That's. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing to make sure that to help you not, whatever?
Sure.
Look, that concussion water. I mean, just the fact that, and Russell Wilson was into it too. That's like drinking water to make sure you don't get a concussion. Like. That just seems mind-blowing if you ask me.
That's great.
But what do I know, But he brought up a good point about that. I guess the concern is, is he going to get popped for something,
Is who going to get
Brady?
popped?
Like, he's doing all this stuff, with this guy, and clearly I don't know if he's credible,
Yeah.
Now, saying that, he's been with him for like 12 years, so it's not like it's something that he started doing, last week. So nothing's happened to this point, so clearly whatever they're doing is okay.
Brady's an interesting cat to me. He obviously, I think, is playing with a chip on his shoulder right
absolutely.
now. But I still believe that his goal is not to every game go out and embarrass whoever he's playing.
Yep.
His goal, I firmly believe, he just wants to win.
Yeah.
He wants to win another Super Bowl. And he just wants to win another.
You know what? Someone brought this up with the Bills. You can tell that at the end of it, they were trying to put up about 90. They were throwing on fourth and two.
Up like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, on fourth down, going for 30-yard bombs, and it almost bit them in the butt, but it ended up not. And they brought up the point against the Colts. They weren't conservative, but at the end of the game, they played it the right way. Like they ran it 3 times, wasted clock, and punted it. Now, it sounds stupid. You want to keep the ball, but you really think about the numbers. That's how you play, because you punt it, giving them the ball with a minute. They've got to score twice. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. Where maybe if that was the Bills game, they would have thrown it 3 times, couple incompletions, and now you've wasted no clock. You know what I'm saying? Like, that game for me was like, all right, they just want to win. They want to get out of Dodge. Let's go home. 5-0. That's it. As opposed to all week was the talk of, hey, we're gonna put up 40, in the first half or whatever, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Which that for me was more impressive, because I think it always shows how good of a team you are when you don't play really well, but you still win. You
find a way to win.
Yeah, you just find a way, and that's what the 2001 to 2004 teams were built upon. You go back, you know how many games they won, like 9-3, 12-10, where they're just like, and at the end of the game, you're like, wow, that was terrible, but they always find a way to win.
So you brought this up earlier, maybe a few weeks ago or a month ago. I don't know if it was on a podcast or if we were just talking. The Broncos reminded you a little bit about the old Patriots team.
Yep.
How they won those close games.
Yeah.
So I agree that you need to play those close games.
Yep.
It builds resolve and you find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be wearing and taxing when you do that every
week. Yeah.
Like you need to mix in a couple
Yeah.
blowouts.
And every game right now with the Broncos is a grind. You can just see it. They're like, and they found ways because they're good teams, but you just like, it just looks like everything they do is just like nip and tuck.
Yeah.
Every ball that leaves Manning's hands, you're like, I don't know if this is going to make it.
I don't know if it's going to get there.
Yeah. and that's tough. That's got to be really tough.
That's funny. You don't hear many conversations about who's the better quarterback now, Manning or Brady.
I got a little theory about Manning and Brady. Now, obviously, both of them missed a year. Manning's was the neck injury. Brady's was the knee. So, obviously, the neck is more serious, in regards to throwing.
Sure.
So you take a guy like Peyton Manning, right?
Yeah.
Quarterback, like, basically was the next coming out of 8th grade, started all 4 years in high school, all 4 years at Tennessee, came into the NFL, started right away, not only started right away, but was the center of the offense right away. And you take a guy like Brady, right?
Yeah.
High school, he said he made the freshman team, and they threw the ball twice his whole year. They made the freshman team, then made the JV team. Eventually,
even at Michigan, I think.
Yeah, he was
splitting.
He was splitting time up until he was a senior. His senior year, he was splitting time. Came into the NFL, didn't start right away. Got in because Bledsoe got hurt, and even first year or two, maybe 3, he was just all right. Don't make a mistake, know?
Yeah.
And now, obviously, he's but the point, I feel like it's almost like a pitch count. Like, Manning is just worn.
Yeah.
Because he's been throwing 50 times a game since he was in 9th grade.
He's got no bullets left in the chamber.
I don't know. That's something I was thinking about. Maybe that's a little baseball guy in me thinking about that kind of thing. But
I think the Packers are going to go into Denver this weekend, and I think they're going to win big. I think this is going to be the game where people finally go, they finally say what everyone's been thinking, and it's like, all right, I think it's. Let's put it this way, fantasy. I know you don't do it anymore. I picked up the Packers defense in fantasy this week, and they're playing Peyton Manning
in Denver.
Because I know he's going to throw at least one pick.
They had through 6 games this year, and 6 games, the first 6 games Tim Tebow started, their stats are like identical.
Really?
And you're like, you are now comparing Tim Tebow to Peyton Manning and Tim Tebow as a passer. If the Packers go into Denver and lay it to the Broncos, that's when I'm like, okay, this might be the AFC might be a one-team horse race.
So something else that bothers me too with Rodgers and Brady now, the discussion of who's the better quarterback. I think it's Brady. Aaron Rodgers has only won 1 Super Bowl.
He's only been to 2 NFC Championship games.
Yeah. I don't know.
The year he won the Super Bowl and last year.
He's the flavor of the month. I think people fall in love with guys who like run around the pocket.
Yep.
And then can scramble. And whatever. I think it's it is what it is.
You know who's kind of a flavor of the month kind of guy for me? I don't know, Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to be that guy that just makes circus catches, but then like you look in the broad scheme of things, like doesn't do a ton in the play. You know what I'm saying? Like
how circus are those catches really? Because they have super glue on those gloves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a one-handed catch without a glove back like 15.
If you go to Dick's Sporting Goods, they have them there, like those gloves, and like I'll put them on. I'll be like, how do you drop anything with like I'll pick my daughter up and I'm like, she's stuck on there.
Like LaFell dropping all those passes last week. It's like, dude.
You have
new gloves.
You literally have glue on your gloves. How do you not catch it?
Hey, we're over 60 minutes, so that flew by. We didn't even cover everything I had on my little notepad, so we'll end it with a bomb to LaFell. No flag. All right, well, hopefully the Pats hold on and win this game. They're up 9-0. Second quarter just started. Good talking to you. Good catching up.
Do it next week?
Yeah, let's do it next week.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, you too. Hey, is Paisley dressing up?
Yep.
What
She'll
is
be
she
a
gonna
panda bear.
A panda bear?
Yeah, Jen got her a little outfit, which is, I have not seen it on her, but it's pretty cute.
Cool.
What's Luke going to be?
I think he might be a turtle.
Mm.
No. I don't know what he's going to do. I think a dinosaur? I can't remember. Lee has it upstairs.
Are you going out?
We're going to go to June Street
Yeah.
Saturday. And,
We're gonna walk
girls.
Paisley around that little
Yeah.
the little section.
Yeah.
You know.
Ooh, is that Sue? No. All right, Krugs. Well, good talking to you.
All right, buddy. I'll see you.
See you.